All right, we are live. Welcome everybody to the Fantastic Story Society. I am Max Timm. Who do we have with us? Oh, wait.
I am Scott Markus.
Right.
That's who you have with you right now.
Almost forgot your name. What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good. No, it's I would say beautiful, but beautiful for the Midwest October. You know, it's like a chill in the air, gray skies.
I wish the sun was out.
You know,
that's my only. I know I complain about everything, but
I feel like usually I'm with you on that. But when the leaves are changing, a gray sky, I'm all for it. I'm
that's
okay
true.
with that.
I enjoy the Halloween season because the fun holiday. I'm a little bit of a Debbie Downer because I can foresee the weather coming, and I can't not think of that. And so I love the summer so much that it's like, oh man, it's over.
It's so wild that, you know, I lived in Hawaii, then I lived in California between the two, a total of 13 years, I think. And I was so excited. I'm like, I'm never going to have to warm up my car again. I'm never going to have to shovel a driveway again. And then the other day I was driving, like, thinking, I kind of miss the snow.
Oh my God.
And I live in Wisconsin now. So I be careful what you wish for, because I'm not going to feel the same way in February.
Yeah. No, for sure. Not that this is going to be some kind of weather episode, but El Nino this year, El Nino is supposed to keep things dry in Wisconsin. I don't know if that's going to happen. It's going to be butt-ass cold anyway.
Yeah, no kidding. I'd like for it to at least be pretty.
Yeah. But we're in the holiday season. And holiday season, I mean, technically it's holiday season. People kind of think once Halloween's over, but not us.
No, this is the highest of holidays.
Right.
I think.
I am going to make tonight, when I begin my Halloween sort of movie / show / stuff to watch on TV night. I'm going to start with, I forgot about the old Disney cartoon Trick or Treat. I think it's called Trick or Treat. Oh, it's about that witch that makes friends with the Donald Duck's nephews, and they play all these tricks on Donald. It's the stupidest thing, but it gets me in the Halloween mood. I'm not like the horror movie fan to watcher, so I watch that, and then of course the Legend of Sleepy Hollow. We're gonna do that.
I was gonna say you're getting really hardcore on your horror movie watching right to start.
I am the G-rated Halloween fan,
and you do like some great paranormal ghost story movies.
Of
too.
course I do. Yes. Yeah, I have to laugh my way through it though, because they're so scary.
Yeah.
But
well, you know, and I think for me, you know, my wife recently said, you know, it's been a long time since I've seen Beetlejuice. Like, it's always a good time to watch Beetlejuice.
Oh my God.
I already said it twice, so I'll slow down.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so I don't know. That might be on the docket pretty soon for us.
I think we should ask our guest, who is patiently waiting behind the scenes here, what she's going to watch this month. And if that ties to the subject of our episode at all.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And so we'll just jump in, because usually we love to tell a story before we even talk to our guests. But I think everything I would want to talk about are places that she would also want to talk about. So let's call into session this meeting of the Fantastic Story Society. And it's on loop for no reason. Okay, there we go.
It's never ending. Very important gavel.
Trying to settle the crowd. Have you ever wondered where a certain movie or TV show was shot? Now, if you've gotten as far to look into it, you've probably come across the website IAmNotAStalker.com. So Max and I were going to sit down with Lindsay Blake, who created this website that I've used an innumerable amount of times. I'd be curious how much of the web traffic is me from my different devices, either planning ahead or then on location, like, oh wait, where is it? So we're gonna sit down with Lindsay to talk about her obsession, her journalistic career, and the most exciting places she's tracked down. Since it is Halloween, we certainly will be getting into some horror locations and haunted sites. Lindsay Blake, welcome, our newest inductee into the Fantastic Story Society.
Thank you.
Crowd loves you, Lindsay. So, Lindsay, how are you? And what are you going to watch this season for scary movies?
I'm good. Scream is always my favorite.
Okay.
It was the first horror movie I ever saw, so that's required viewing during the season. Always.
That's a good pull, and also a good question. What's the first horror movie for me? It was 1989's Night of the Living Dead, which that scared the hell out of me as a kid, but I still love it. It's got that place in my heart because it was my first horror movie.
You always talk about Night of the Living Dead. Yeah. I don't remember mine. I guess you could say Alien. which is a little bit of a stretch. And it was a horrible decision of my parents to allow me to watch that movie.
I'd say that's not a stretch. It's sci-fi, but it's definitely horror. It is a scary movie.
Yeah.
Coming out of the stomach.
So Lindsay, tell us about you. Just give a little background so everybody listening understands, who you are, your backstory a little bit, but also how you got into this fun I Am Not a Stalker website.
Well, I grew up in San Francisco and was always obsessed with movies. My family went to the movies every weekend, and my mom would always make us stay and sit till the end credits to look to see where a movie was filmed, because they always would say filmed on location. And it was the last slide that ever came up, and it drove my dad nuts. But inevitably, my mom made us wait for that. And so it was kind of like ingrained in me.
So hold on. So why did your mom do that? Why was she just naturally interested, or? Just
curious. She'd be like, oh, where was this filmed? And we didn't realize at the time, knowing what we know now, everything's filmed in LA pretty much. But
yeah.
So she was always just curious. Like, she loved the movie Somewhere in Time, and that's always been a goal of hers, to go to the hotel where that was filmed on Mackinac Island. And so she's just kind of fascinated by the scenery and stuff. So it was just ingrained in me. And when I started growing up, I started getting curious myself of where things were filmed. And the first movie actually that I ever really did any stalking of was Scream. And I saw that right after I graduated from high school. I was never allowed to see scary movies or horror movies when I was young. And so that, just blew my mind. I thought it was the greatest movie ever. And my mom said, oh, it was filmed in Healdsburg and Santa Rosa, which I was living in San Francisco at the time. And my aunt lives in Santa Rosa. So my mom planned a day for us to go up there.
I had no idea. It's like Napa Valley area, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. Wow. Yeah. That movie has the best locations because it's so quaint and charming. And then all this horror is happening inside this little town.
Yeah. I didn't know it was shot up there either. That's cool.
Yeah. So we went, and all the locations are pretty close together. And so we kind of went around that day with my aunt to all the different spots. And Healdsburg was the town square, and the police station's there. And they used the real police station, which is, it's moved since then. But we popped into the police station, and one of the detectives was like, let me give you a tour of where everything was filmed. And it was just so fun. And ever since then, I've been really obsessed with locations. And we moved to LA in 2000, my family. And that's when I really, really got into it, because everything's filmed there. Yeah. And we lived in Pasadena, and literally it's like the film capital of the world. And I don't know if you guys have ever been in LA and seen the yellow signs that lead you, it's set that way.
Oh, sure. Location management.
Cast and crew where to go. Well, I wasn't working at all when I first moved to Pasadena. And so every morning I'd get up, and just literally down my street, there'd be those signs. And so I'd follow them and go watch stuff being filmed. And for me, coming from a small town up north, it was like, the jackpot. I was walking into my favorite sets and shows and seeing the actor. It just was incredible. And so it opened up a whole new world for me. Sorry, losing my earphone. And then I started my blog. Well, first I was taking anyone who visited on little location tours, and my friends could care less about this stuff. But my best friend is Swiss, and I would always take him by the Disney concert hall. And I was like, this is one of his latest trips. You want to see the concert hall? He's like, there's Swiss concert halls I've seen less. Yeah. So, I would just bore people to death. And so one friend said, you should really start a blog. And so I did in 2007. And then it just kind of took off from there.
In other words, that was your friends saying, find people who actually care about this. So
not us.
Did that lead into any kind of profession? Did you go into location scouting, or how has this always just been a hobby?
Well, it's been a hobby, but actually one of my friends who I met through this, he had a blog too. He did go into location scouting. But I kind of went the other way and started writing and got hired by different outlets, kind of freelance. And then I worked for 3 years at dirt.com, just covering filming locations.
Oh, wow. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot more than a hobby. Okay.
Yeah. Now it's like my full-time job. It has been for a long time.
Yeah. But this is something that I love talking about, because, again, most of our audience are creatives as well. And I just always try to impress upon people, just if you find something fascinating, follow your own passion. because there's got to be other people out there that are interested in it as well. You'll find an audience. The audience will find you. And I always love when somebody does that, and they're doing it because they love it, not because they're trying to make something bigger out of it. But then opportunities pop up. And that's, I'm guessing, and it sounds like that is what happened for you as well.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. And it's a small group that likes this stuff, but it's been pretty amazing to join forces with so many like-minded people and have people reach out to me to find locations that they've been looking for. That's my favorite part, is when I can help somebody find something.
Sure.
So, but yeah, it's very much a passion project.
I found myself, though, like going through your website, like this isn't necessarily something that I would search out myself from a fan standpoint, but if I found it, which I did, obviously, because of this, I was like, this is fascinating. I love all of this. A lot of the references to the actual movies or TV shows I didn't even know, but then I caught myself falling in love with just the architecture of some of these places, like the I'm forgetting the character's name, but the dad from Alvin and Chipmunks, that little bungalow neighborhood was like, I want to live there. And then of course I started looking, where is this? And I want to, how much is the rent? You know? It's fascinating.
Yeah, I know. Half the time I find I don't even really like a movie that I'm writing about. I just like the location, and it grabs me for some reason.
Yeah.
More often than not.
Well, I always love movies that film on location. They feel different than something that's on a back lot. And I've been able to work on both, but like The Fugitive, as a Chicagoan, The Fugitive just shot all over Chicago, and the city is a character in the movie. You know, it really creates the world. Do you have a favorite movie or several or show that really features on location shooting?
Yeah.
Well, 90210, Beverly Hills 90210, the original, was my absolute favorite. And that kind of, I feel like it was the gateway drug to a lot of the other locations. I was obsessed with finding all of those. And so many of them are in Pasadena, where I lived when I first moved to LA. So that really opened up my stalking doors.
Was there anything that surprised you when you found that some of those locations that you didn't expect to find? For 90210 specifically, or anything else?
Yeah. So when I was in high school, right after I graduated, we went to Paris and Switzerland to visit friends. And 90210 had filmed a couple, well, what I thought had filmed a couple episodes when Brenda and Donna went to Paris. And so there was this 90210 magazine that had a picture of Brenda walking in this floral garden that was gorgeous. And I just fell in love with that garden watching that episode. And so I carried that magazine all over Paris, asking people, where have you seen this garden? Where is it? And people looked at me like I was nuts. Well, come to find out, it was filmed in Pasadena and Huntington Gardens.
Oh God.
I know.
In your own neighborhood.
Yeah. But I mean, back then, before I ever lived in LA, I mean, if somebody says they're in France on a TV show, I thought the whole cast and crew picked up and went to France. But
had you waited until the end of the credits, you might have.
That's true.
Do they even show that on TV shows?
No. And they rarely show it in movies anymore either. Huh. I think that was like an 80s thing when it would say filmed on location in.
Interesting.
But yeah. 90210 never said where it was going to be. Yeah, there.
Scott's bringing up the post here. We'll always have Paris. And these are the images of those of you listening to the podcast. You're just SOL here. But how funny that I'm waiting for the floral garden. I see.
Yeah, so there's one of them. There were actually two in the episode. That's one. And that's in the rose garden. that's what I walked all over looking for.
You're in it.
And then that's the one I really love, that kind of trellis archway.
Yeah, look at that.
God, I need
to go to Huntington Gardens.
Oh, have you ever been there?
No, I've never been.
Oh my God, it's one of my favorite places in LA.
Huh.
It's huge, and it's got museums, and I don't even ever go into the museums. I just walk the gardens. They're incredible. There's a Japanese garden, a Chinese garden, rose garden.
Don't they do like a light show kind of thing during the holidays or some? Because I almost went.
No, I Well, not that I know of, but Descanso used to do a Halloween, and now they do Christmas.
Okay, I think that's what I meant. It was like a holiday themed kind of thing for. Yeah. Okay.
The Halloween one was awesome, but I've never done Christmas, but it's supposed to be amazing. So, but yeah, you got to go to Huntington.
I do.
I got to say,
Central. Sorry.
I lived in, no, not at all. I lived in LA for about 8 years, and it took me up until I think, I don't know, maybe a month before I moved, before I was finally like, I wonder where they shoot The Office. And I had no idea it was LA. I knew they weren't going to be in Scranton, but I thought they were at least on the East Coast. But no, they're right in the valley there.
Yeah.
And so then I went nuts, just binging using your site to go to as many sites as I could before I left town. I think I couldn't believe that I had this opportunity the entire 8 years I was there. But
did you go to the studio, which is the
like Valley
Park?
What was that?
Valley Center Studios.
Sure.
Yeah. Scranton Office Park. Yeah.
On Satakoy Street.
Yep.
Which is referenced in the show as well at one point. And it's so funny how often they'll actually use the real street name or something that's a nod to the fact that they're not actually outside of LA. But yeah, had no idea. And I did just see that Meredith's house isn't there anymore. So if somebody wants to see that one, it's gone. It's been replaced by like a beautiful new, let's be honest. Meredith's house is going to be a teardown operation, no matter what, if you know the show. But yeah, so it's also
much set dressing on that one.
Right? No kidding. It is cool to visit these places, especially in LA, because things aren't around forever, and that's a good reminder too.
I know Ranch is being demolished as we speak.
Which is being demolished?
Warner Ranch.
Oh, you're kidding.
Kind of the sister ranch to Warner Brothers Studios in Burbank.
That's where Dwight's barn was, right?
I think that's Disney.
Oh, Disney.
Golden Oak Ranch. I think, don't quote me on that, but I think that one's Disney. But Warner Ranch was a little studio in Burbank, not too far from the main studio. And like the house from Christmas Vacation was there. There was like a little cul-de-sac and all these famous houses. I Dream of Jeanie, the Partridge Family. It was all sorts of old movie and TV houses, and it's being demolished.
Wow, you think they would want to save that or something?
I know, and I keep seeing the images daily on Facebook. People who work there are posting as it's
really
being taken away, kind of brick by brick. It's heartbreaking to watch.
Wow. Yeah. I wonder what they're going to do with the lot. What do they have any plans for what they're going to do?
Yeah, they're building more sound stages and office buildings. Okay. Yeah.
So we're looking at pictures of some of the houses here on the Warner. How funny. I never knew that Christmas Vacation house was actually on a lot.
Yeah. And the Friends fountain was there. But they actually moved that to the main lot. So at least there's the Friends fountain. At least that was saved. But yeah, the rest of it, it's just all the houses are gone.
Wild.
The Partridge house is already gone. There's the I Dream of Jeanie house.
What is that big one? Oh, Pushing Daisy's house. Look at that. Small and Pleasantville.
Yeah.
Wow, is that cool?
I know. It's all just going. It's so sad. There's so much history there.
What I did want to mention, and I've noticed this, I loved The Office. I didn't watch the whole series, but every episode I did watch, I really enjoyed. But just kind of jump back to that in a second. I always noticed, and maybe it was a little unconscious, but it was also kind of just an assumption in my head. And maybe both of you have noticed this or not, but the lighting in California is different than anywhere. And you can kind of tell, like, that is not a Pennsylvania sun that is being shown over this parking lot. You just have a feeling of it, and maybe you don't necessarily, unless you've lived in LA, you may not necessarily recognize it, and then it's fine. But I noticed it, and so what are your techniques when you're watching these shows or movies? How do you find these locations other than just asking people outright?
It's a lot of my site's called I'm Not a Stalker because it really is stalking. I mean, I just scrutinize the background of scenes, and thankfully, Instagram's been really helpful as far as actors posting behind the scenes stuff. Sometimes I can get an idea of at least the city of where something was filmed from their footage behind the scenes. And then I can kind of narrow stuff down. But street signs in the background, house numbers visible, research. But it really feels like stalking.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you have any informants on the inside, if you are friends with location managers that, you can slide you a call sheet once in a while.
Well, what's funny is the times that I've reached out to location managers, if it's been like an older type show, like 90210 or something like that I'm trying to find, 99% of the time they don't remember, or they'll tell you the completely wrong thing because in their memory it was somewhere else. And funny. Yeah, when I started working for LA Magazine, I was writing for them, and they want, you have to give your sources. And so they always want to know who I talked to. And I was like, no one, because that's going to be the faulty memory. So my sources would always be the photo comparisons and proof that way. But I rarely talk to people just because I find it often leads in the wrong direction.
It's funny. So I worked in production for a long time, and there are some places that I shot that were really interesting, and I want to go back and see them again. And I have no idea in the world, like what neighborhood even. So for me, I was on the assistant director side. So I have all the paperwork. So at least I can go back and find my old call sheets and find the addresses. But if I were to a place that like I really remember vividly, I only remember that couple of blocks and nothing around it. We're all exhausted when we're done with shooting.
Right.
Too,
yeah. And you go to so many locations even just one episode of a TV show, you can hit up at least 25 locations. And the other thing that messes with the crew is that you typically park and hang out at base camp and then are driven to the location. Because I worked as an extra a couple times, and I would try to remember where we filmed a certain scene, and I could remember where base camp was, but they take you kind of a couple miles away to the location and you have no idea really where it is.
They actually put bags over your head and slip you in down a secret tunnel.
So let's backtrack a little bit and get into your journalistic career, your writing career. Because were you working as a journalist prior to starting this blog, or what was the journey? No,
oh, wow. I moved down here to act, and then it kind of felt like being on a treadmill. I joined SAG. I had an agent, and I just never had any auditions. I don't think I auditioned once. Never.
For how long?
Oh my God, probably 7 years.
No, I'm
not
kidding.
Laugh. I took acting classes. I did everything I felt like I kind of could, and couldn't even get an audition. And so I started writing my blog as a creative outlet, and I found I had a lot more control over where I could take that than I did my acting career. So I kind of focused more on that, and then it became my full-time thing. And so I did my blog, writing it full-time just on my own for several years. And then I started working for LA Magazine and then the Tourism Bureau of LA. And then I got with Dirt like 3 years ago.
So what did you do for the tourism board? That's interesting.
Yeah.
I would write filming location articles that they would put on their website. Discover Los Angeles. Yeah. I would they would have me do lists like 10 theaters that have been in various movies and TV shows, or 10 beaches, or 10 Oscar locations, stuff like that.
So how many times did you receive an assignment for that type of thing, and you were like, this is the easiest assignment, I already have this on my blog?
Pretty much all the time, but the writing takes a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the locations I pretty much know. I have a backlog in my head, but I love researching too. So I'm always trying to find new stuff, add new locations to the conversation and whatnot.
Right. What was the growth of the website like? Because you're doing it on your own, and then it hits the ether. It gets out there. People find it. Did it explode one day, or was it a slow rise?
It was a pretty slow rise, but I remember within like the first couple months, The Hills was really big, and Lauren Conrad had just moved to a new house. And so I found the house and posted it, and that got my first 100 hits. I'll never forget that. It was so exciting. 100 hits. And that's when I felt like I had made it. I was like, this is the right path.
It must have been harder to promote your website back then. I mean, there wasn't really a social media outlet. So how did you just hoped people found it?
Yeah. Basically, and I'm really bad at promoting myself. My husband gets really mad, but he's always like, you need to be on this and do this. And I never did that. I kind of just let people find me. Hope that's a good message. Put out good original content. Huh?
Yeah, that's a good message, because I'm terrible at it too. It's just so hard, I think, for a lot of to like talk about yourself. You feel like you're boasting, or you feel like a fraud or whatever, or you just would rather be doing some other stuff, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But it is a lesson here, because as we know, and Max, I know you're going to chime in on this, is that, you know, we have to treat this as a business, and marketing is part of any business. And it's something that you got to figure out.
It's just a part of the business. And not because it's like, you know, bad or something. It's just, it's a completely different part of the brain.
Yeah,
exactly.
If you can keep it creative in some way, and that's why it is fun with the Instagram stories, Facebook stories, and then TikTok and things, you can be a little creative in the marketing and continue to do some of what you're trying to do creatively, just from a writing standpoint. But it really does, it's such a different approach. Like for me, the writing process, it's just you sit in front of your computer and you're just writing, and you don't have any other outside influence. It's just you.
Yeah.
Once you move your brain to marketing, you're suddenly thinking, what is everybody going to think of this? Mm-hmm. And ironically, we should probably be thinking of that when we're in our writing, but at first you're not. It's like, whatever, I'm just going to put this down, you know?
Yeah. So did you find a way to start marketing it, or did it just continue to grassroots grow on its own?
It was just kind of grassroots. I just kept trying to put out good original content, fresh stuff I was passionate about, because then I figured other people might get passionate about it too. If I'm excited, I can make somebody else excited. So I just kind of focused on that. And then, of course, when Instagram came around, I love photos. So I'm on Instagram and semi-promoting that way, like read this post today. But yeah, I don't do it nearly enough. So nearly as much as I should.
I don't know if any of us do. But Scott, why did you find it? Like, what was the first instance of you?
That's a good question. You know, I mean, it could have been The Office or Parks and Rec. You know, those sitcom locations I really enjoyed. I think because I would start to recognize things with Parks and Rec. I would start to recognize, like, I think I know where that is, but I'm not sure. It wouldn't surprise me for that one, especially because they have the joke in there. I don't know if it was written in or if they just had to make peace with it, where they are in the next town over within the story. They're in Eagleton, where everything is wonderful.
Right.
There's palm trees in the background, and this is set in Indiana. So they kind of make fun of the fact that this place is so beautiful that it can actually support palm trees. Like, okay, well, that's a giveaway that they are shooting in LA. So then I want to think.
Eagleton is Huntington.
Oh,
garden.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's back to the same garden.
Yes.
So yeah, they did so much shooting up in Pasadena.
Mm-hmm.
A crazy amount. I mean, the Quiet Corn is maybe my favorite location.
The bed and breakfast.
I mean, it's a funny scene in the show itself. And then obviously the Pawnee City Hall, which this is the biggest incongruity. And maybe you could let me know if this rings a bell for anything else or triggers any other memory. But I always laugh about it that Pawnee is supposed to be this like really small town Indiana. And then they show Pasadena City Hall as their city hall. It's this enormous and beautiful building. This doesn't make sense for the story.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
But you kind of
don't. Great location.
Great location. And you don't really think about it when you're watching TV. You're just kind of taking it in.
Yeah.
But then when you're on location, like, wait a minute, how is this Pawnee?
That's true.
Has there been any other moments like that for you when going on location to see that? Like maybe the location department could have kept looking.
There's more just like, I'll never forget on the 90210 reboot, they switched the main family's home between season 1 and season 2. Completely different. And you're just going like, what? No explanation. The family didn't move. It's just a new house. And that kind of happens a lot.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I love, and again, I use your site constantly still because I do a series I like that I'm having so much fun with. And again, if nobody watches it, I'm having fun making it. Haunted filming locations. So a location that is used, and I always love to find something fun, something silly. I mean, we can stay in Pasadena here, talk about the Colorado Street Bridge, which is as haunted and darkly haunted as can be.
Suicide Bridge.
It's the Pasadena Suicide Bridge. So many people have committed suicide there. Like it sounds like an urban legendy, but no, it really has ongoing, sadly, darkness there. But it's also where like Scrubs shot funny scenes there and Full House shot. So I love that juxtaposition. And I used your site recently. Last time I was in LA, because I wanted to see the doll head factory where Andy and April from Parks and Rec, their house in the very, very end, this creepy old house. And I love it because when you turn around, and again, this is set in Indiana, small town Indiana, it's a beautiful old decaying house. But then you turn around and the city skyline, LA city skyline is right there. And so you obviously can only shoot that one in one direction. You can't get the reverse.
Oh, that's so great. Movie magic.
Movie magic.
I'm actually surprised that place is still there with how much LA is changing.
Right.
It's a great location.
And maybe I'm trying to remember if it was still there. I got to go back and look at my footage because it may have been gone. I think you're right. It was an empty lot now, but you could still tell nothing had been developed on it. It's still a bad part of LA too, like near downtown, just barely on the west side of downtown. But yeah, I don't know. It's such a neat area. And on that same trip, I went to see the building. I could only see it from the outside. It's, I think, mostly used for studio now. Studio space, but the roof of this particular building is where they shot the roof scenes for New Girl, that sitcom. Right across from something.
Yeah, MacArthur Park. It's called the MacArthur.
Oh, okay, there we go.
It was a hotel back in the day, and now it's strictly an event venue. That's a really cool building. Yeah. The inside, it's often unlocked. I've been able to just walk in many times because they do tours for like weddings and stuff. Prospective bride and grooms. So it's pretty easy to go see it. Even if you like knock, they'll usually show you around. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous building.
Neat. It was totally walled off when I was there, unfortunately.
Oh,
so
maybe they're remodeling it.
Maybe, or maybe they were shooting something inside and had to block out the daylight or something. I don't know.
That could be. There
was no door to knocketh for me when I was there. But that's another fun one. Again, movie magic. And I'm a nut for that show, New Girl.
That's a great show.
That the exterior of the building is downtown on Traction Street, downtown LA. But then when you see their location, when they have scenes on top of the roof, you see the skyline. So like, how could you be in downtown and see the skyline at the same place? So yeah, I love stuff like that.
I do too. It's fun.
I just love how much you're both geeking out about this. This is fantastic.
Yeah, it's weird, man. I don't
know.
No,
it isn't weird. It's now I'm kind of like, I want to go to that MacArthur building. That sounds cool.
I hope it's not being renovated or anything.
I have no idea.
I haven't been to LA in 3 years, which is like mind blowing.
Wait, where do you live right now?
Palm Springs.
Oh, you're in Palm Springs. Okay.
Yeah.
So not that far away.
No, and we used to go at least once a month, but ever since kind of COVID hit and all that, I just haven't driven in, and I've heard it's changed so much.
Yeah. In odd ways. I feel like what do they always call it? The tent city area of the really, really hard
Skid Row.
Skid Row. Thank you. I don't know how I couldn't come up with that. There's like no homeless people in that area anymore. Now, that's not to say that they fixed the problem, but but I don't know, where are they now? But that area is totally feels different also.
Hollywood's
I just heard there's different. That's what do you guys follow Scott Michaels from Find a Death?
Love Scott Michaels from Dearly Departed as well.
Yes.
He was
he's out here now. He lives out in Palm Springs.
Gotcha. Okay. I noticed that he and I both are followers of your Instagram. I saw his name on there.
He's the best.
Scott is a sweetheart of a guy. He's going to be a guest one of these days. We've talked many a time, but just haven't scheduled it. And I used to give a haunted Hollywood, well, it's actually still ongoing, haunted Hollywood and downtown LA tour. And Scott was a huge supporter of me back when I was doing that. So I'll have him to thank always for having my back when I was doing that.
So your Palm Springs locale at the moment, is this kind of, because 2 days ago you posted, I can't listen to it, obviously it's going to interrupt our audio, Frank Sinatra's final resting place, Desert Memorial Park. But what's wild is that I'm seeing the bizarre tale of Dolly Oesterreich, who kept her lover hidden away in her attic for 10 years. And the video jumps right to Milwaukee. So I can't listen to it because this is, we're recording. But can you tell us a little bit about what happened?
Do you know that story?
No.
Oh, that's one of my favorites. So this couple, Fred and Dolly Oesterreich, I think is how you pronounce it. They were originally in Milwaukee, and Dolly took a liking to one of Fred's employees. And he was 17, she was 26. So she started having an affair with him, and neighbors started talking about him coming to the house as soon as Fred would leave in the morning.
And this is when, like in the 20s or something? When was this?
This was 1913.
Okay. We're playing spooky music now.
So she didn't like the neighbors talking, so she moved her lover into her attic. And he lived there for 5 years and never came out unless Fred was at work, and then he'd come downstairs and spend the day with Dolly, and she'd make him do housework too. So interesting relationship there. But then in 1918, they moved to LA, to Silver Lake, and she brought her lover and moved him right into the attic.
Come on.
I swear to God, for 5 more years.
Did her husband know about this?
No. And then one day, Fred and Dolly got into a heated fight downstairs. And so I've lost my name on her lover. It's Otto Sanhuber. He came down to defend Dolly because he heard them screaming, and he wound up shooting the husband. And then he locked Dolly in a closet and ran back to the attic. And so she could claim when the police came, oh, a thief came and they locked me in the closet. And so it was another several years before they figured out that this guy hiding in the attic had killed Fred. And so he wound up on trial, and they were calling him the Batman of Los Angeles because he lived up in an attic.
Oh my God.
Like a media circus, but they both got off.
How did they get off?
It was something, her jury, I want to say, was hung, like a hung jury. And then I think his was something to do with the statute of limitations, which doesn't make much sense being that it was, I guess he was defending her. So it wasn't.
Yeah, it could have been a defensive type of thing.
So where is this house then? So where did they move?
It's on Lafayette Park Place in Silver Lake.
Oh, okay.
And it's still there, and it looks exactly, you can look up crime scene photos and courtroom photos, and nothing is, the foliage is a lot larger, but the house has not changed.
Wow.
Silver Lake is such a funky little town too. It's I'm doing some research about a year ago on Silver Lake, trying to see if I can gather a bunch of stories, and I didn't come across that one somehow. How'd you come across that story?
Yeah.
I think my friend Lavana told me about that one. I can't remember.
Everybody needs a Lavana.
Somebody told me about it. Yeah. Because I like all that weird stuff. Somebody said there's this crazy story of a woman who kept her lover hidden in her attic for 10 years. And I was like, what?
That sounds like something like kind of like an old legend or something, just to kind of scare kids away or whatever.
Totally. And off topic, but I just wanted to shout out here, Cece. I think I first discovered Lindsay's site many years ago, looking for Father of the Bride house and the holiday shooting locations. So there we go.
Favorites.
So
both in Pasadena.
I was just gonna say. So Jack Black's house, or was it Cameron Diaz's house, where? Oh my God.
Kate Winslet.
Winslet ends up living. That's in Pasadena.
Yeah, it's actually, I think, San Marino, if I'm not mistaken, but right next to Pasadena. And then Jack Black's house is Silver Lake, I'm pretty sure. It's a it's a Richard Neutra house. Silver Lake or Los Feliz, I can't remember now. But yeah, it's right there. And then Kate's house was fake, sadly. I know.
Kate's house was not what? That isn't a real place?
The little cottage.
Yeah.
They built it.
But they had exterior shots of that place.
Yeah, they built, you can, if you look it up online, that people have posted behind the scenes, it's like a frame, a facade that they built in Europe.
Wow.
I know. And it's
Wait,
gone. I
what
wish
do you
they
mean
had
in
left
Europe?
it. It was in London.
Oh, they did shoot it.
Not London, but like Surrey.
Okay.
Kate Winslet's like the little like cottage on the hill, the stone cottage. Yeah.
I cannot believe that would have been less expensive than just finding one.
I know, right? I think they couldn't find exactly what Nancy Meyers wanted. So, or she, I think, yep. I think she had seen maybe something she really liked, and maybe the owners wouldn't let her use it, or it wasn't convenient for filming somehow. So they kind of took inspiration from the place she liked and just built it.
I can't believe how real that looks.
I know. And Cameron Diaz's house, the inside was all a set. It looks so real, and it was
so
none
real.
Of it. Yeah, no, it was, and it cost something astronomical, like $1 million to build just the inside of her house.
Look at her kitchen. I'd live there.
I know.
It's like a Hobbit house.
Yeah. Is this your article, or did Scott bring up a?
No, that's Hooked on Houses, right?
House and Garden.
Oh, House and Garden. Okay.
Not UK.
Wild. Okay, so Cece, by the way, thank you for chiming in. It's fun. So I'm also looking at your Instagram page, the Carson mansion. This is Johnny Carson's mansion.
No.
Okay.
It's a mansion in Eureka that a lot of haunted house artwork is based upon it.
It's unbelievable.
It's amazing.
For those of you listening to the podcast and you don't have a computer in front of you, just make a mental note to go to IAmNotAStalker's Instagram page. This house, if you love architecture, this is unbelievable. This house. You've got a picture with lightning going across it.
Yeah, that house is, I had never heard of that house until just recently. And my grandma lives up in the Eureka area. And I was like, can you go get pictures for me? So she went and got some pictures, but it's incredible.
So it's a private club now.
Yeah, now it's a club. But the guy who built it was like a railroad baron or a lumber baron. And he wanted something really ornate. And so the joke is that the architects kind of threw everything, including the kitchen sink, at it. It's got everything. But it's so, it looks so haunted. I mean, it's like people call it the quintessential haunted house.
I see what you mean. And you show some like other artwork and things of people having, like, there was an Alfred Hitchcock picture, a movie poster, book. And yeah, it does look like you could see this in like old Disney movies from the 40s or something. Yeah.
Well, what's funny is I use Canva to make my videos. And so I did a search for haunted house, and the first image that came up was that kind of sketch that was a couple slides ago, which is so obviously based on the house that I was writing about. So it's like, there it is right there.
Yeah, that is so cool.
It reminds me a bit of the Magic Castle in Hollywood as well.
Yeah. That's another great location.
A little bit.
Probably similar time period, I'm guessing.
Have you been there?
Yeah. Yes, I have.
I've never been. I'm always jealous when I hear people about going to the Magic Castle. It's like, what the hell?
I've never actually attended a show there, but they had a once in a while they'll have like a garage sale kind of a thing, and it's open to the public, and you can walk through the house. There's different people have booths set up. It's all magic stuff. So I wasn't really in the market for any of that, but it was cool to walk around.
Ha!
Oh, yeah. I need to keep my eyes peeled for that.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. You can go, though, if you stay at the Magic Castle Hotel, which is right next to it. You can be a guest at the Magic Castle. It's a way in for non-members.
Nice.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that. Let's get into the exploring side, because obviously you do a ton of research first, try to figure out where to go. And then certain places you might, want more access than is readily available. And I'm not going to get you in trouble for the number of times you jimmied a lock or anything like that. But have you talked your way into getting access to be able to walk through a unique location?
Yeah, I'm actually really timid, and I do not break rules. I don't trust. I'm petrified of all that. My husband's the opposite. He'll just drive on somewhere. I feel like everyone in my family's opposite. But yeah, I have been able to thankfully talk my way into seeing certain places, but it's all been, I've had actually quite a lot of luck, but yeah. I have
any examples?
The 90210 house would probably be my favorite. The Walsh home, Casa Walsh. My friend Mike and I were there taking pictures, and the owner happened to pull up, and he gets visitors, hundreds a day. If you go to that house, there's always people driving by. And I don't know why he just took a liking and brought us inside. And then we've been back a couple of times since, which is just insane to me. And they didn't use it inside, but I don't know, just to be in that house has been, it was, best day of my life, pretty much.
I was going to ask if there was a location that was like, I cannot believe that I'm actually here, but that must be it.
Yeah. There's been so many. The Ghostbusters firehouse, the interior scenes were filmed in downtown LA. The exteriors in New York, inside downtown LA. And that one, another thing, I was just taking pictures outside, and somebody came out and asked if I wanted to come in. The chocolate factory in downtown LA. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
I don't know.
It's on my website. That one, it's behind how like storefronts in downtown LA are behind garage door things.
Yeah,
sure.
It's behind something like that now, but it used to be back in the 1920s, an ice cream shop, and it's gorgeous. It's this amazing tile. I don't know how to say it. It's like bachelor. I can't say that word, but that famous tile. I know I'm butchering it. But it's this amazing venue, and I've seen photos of it online, and it just sits empty behind this like roll down garage door. And so I wanted to go take pictures of the outside just so I could write about it and have some sort of imagery. And my husband and I were driving, and the door was open. And I was like, oh my God, find us a place right now. Cause I was so worried the guy was going to close the door and leave. And so he found a spot, and we ran over there, and he let me in. And that place there's been so many times. I feel like every location is just so special.
Well, wait, so chocolate factory for what was this shot in? What was it?
Sorry, that is not a filming location. It was just a kind of a historic location that's abandoned now. I think it's called the Chocolate Shop,
the Dutch chocolate shop.
I think that's it.
Okay, so here we go. I believe I found it.
And this is just, that's weird.
Yeah, LA has so many. Yeah, that's it.
Look at the inside of that.
Oh, it's like nothing you've ever seen. It's absolutely incredible.
So they did shoot an episode of Castle here.
Location.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take this down.
This is behind a garage door.
I think I have a picture of what the exterior looks like. Yeah, it's just.
Look at that.
See?
Come
That's the
on.
exterior.
That's amazing.
And for some reason, they've tried to reopen it, but nowadays restaurants have to have 2 exits or entrances or something. And for some reason, the way this building is set up, there's no side or rear entrance. So they haven't been able to really do anything with it.
That is beautiful.
Isn't it amazing?
That's the ground floor, I assume.
Yes. And it was like a chocolate shop soda fountain kind of thing.
So these are the pictures you took.
Yeah.
The place looks like it's pristine.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
What a place for a speakeasy style restaurant or bar or whatever.
I wish they could figure out a way to open it.
It is so beautiful. Wow. And this is really bad audio that we're giving. If you're just listening to this,
really.
It is.
Sorry.
So it's like, no, it's on me. It's like a Rathskeller, if you are familiar, like these ornate underground, these photos that we're looking at right now, ornate underground, almost domed ceilings, arched ceilings with, it seems to be like lots of tile and lots of artwork within the tile.
Yeah. It's almost like Grand Central
stone.
Station style.
Yes,
ceilings.
It's like a mini Grand Central Station with lower ceilings.
It's vast. I mean, for what is this is underground or is this street level?
No, it's street level.
This is street level. Okay, kind of because it has a bit of an underground feel since we're not seeing windows. But the ceilings must be a good 15 feet above at least.
It feels like the New York subway system when it was first done in a really ornate sort of way.
Yeah.
Crazy. So you only saw the first floor. You weren't able to go upstairs or anything? Because it seemed like there's 3 floors.
Yeah, and I think the upstairs might be offices, but it's nothing like this that's upstairs.
And what was the neighborhood like? I mean, it's downtown, so I'm sure some of it was kind of grummy.
Yeah, I'm really bad with direction, but I think it's not very far from Skid Row.
Okay.
At the very bottom of the post, it'll say what street. I'm the worst with direction, oddly, considering this hobby.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. And it was used in a very, very old silent film too, huh?
The Hope Chest with Dorothy Gish. Wow.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, I'm gonna jump down. Oh my gosh, I just saw The Good Place.
Oh, wait.
The Good Place was in here. There we go.
The Good
Oh,
Place
yeah. I forgot about that.
Wow. Okay, so that's when they are, if anybody is a big fan, they are going to the they're sneaking in to mingle with the demons. So they're in hell.
The Museum of Human Misery.
Yeah, and I see also Lucifer, which makes sense. I could see that being very moody for that TV show. All right, we're finally 6th Street.
Yeah, so 217 West 6th Street.
I'm looking it up.
Pretty I want to say that's right, because Skid Row's 5th.
So it's just a block from Pershing Square, if anybody is a big downtown LA fan. So we're like
by the last bookstore.
2 blocks from the Biltmore.
I love that place.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not that bad. I mean, it's like, this is downtown.
Yeah, but this building from the outside, to describe it for people that are not watching, you would not expect anything from this. Wrong side.
God, you almost nailed that pin drop, by the
there
way.
it is.
That was like, wow, nice work.
Right here. It just looks like a dumpy abandoned building from the outside.
Yeah.
And that's how it's usually seen, I'm sure, with those garage doors shuttered.
How
and
weird.
Who would have thought that there's such a beautiful sight right inside?
And that's what when we were driving, expected to see. I thought I was just going to get a shot of the outside. When I saw that garage door open, I was
like, yeah,
looking out.
I meant to say this many times earlier. IAmNotAStalker.com is the website. On Instagram, also IAmNotAStalker. TikTok, IAmNotAStalker 3, which gives you the idea that there's a lot of people trying to not be stalkers on TikTok.
That is very strange that there are 2 other people saying, I swear I'm not a stalker.
I was late to the TikTok game, so I missed out on.
I'm really curious what I'm Not a Stalker 1 and 2 and without a number look like. And then on Facebook, Lindsay Blake. If anybody feels like following Lindsay on any of these locations.
Yeah, how cool. Cece is saying, by the way, loved all of Lindsay's research on the Big Little Lies filming locations. Was surprised Bonnie and Nathan's house was in Calabasas. Loved that earthy house. I don't know Big Little Lies. I didn't watch Big Little Lies.
Oh, that's a great show.
I heard it was really
First
good.
season. Season 2 is kind of But set in Monterey and a lot filmed in LA. Oddly. Very oddly, because you'd never think LA at all resembles Monterey.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Where's
and Descanso was used quite a bit. Descanso Gardens in that one.
I don't know that. Gardens. We need to go to more gardens, Max, I think.
Yeah. Well, isn't that part of the Huntington Gardens?
No, it's in La Cañada.
Oh,
that's the one that does the Christmas show that used to do the Halloween.
Got it. Yeah. All right.
What is, because I know you've gone to sites outside of California as well.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the furthest you've gone or most remote to find a location?
I did some stuff in Switzerland, but not really much there. I stalked the dam from James Bond, I want to say. Can't remember. It was just my friend said, "Oh, we'll go to a filming location here." It wasn't something I'd really researched. In Mexico on my honeymoon, we stalked the rocks where Jennifer Aniston did a perfume ad, and that was remote because we were out climbing.
Wait, she did what?
She did a perfume ad that should be on my website too. She came out with a perfume like in maybe 2008 or 2009, and she did this ad for like a print ad on posing on rocks in Cabo.
That is a deep cut.
That's another one. I walked around we were on our honeymoon, and I brought the print ad and was like, "Can you tell me where this was filmed?"
Why
And
did you
so
choose that? Like, how did you know it was shot in Mexico?
Yeah, I knew it was Cabo.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I love Jennifer Aniston, and I love that perfume. And so I just thought it would be fun. Anywhere we're going on vacation, I always want to find some place to
Scott is the
stalk.
same way. He's like, what's haunted here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I always kind of try to tailor my trips to places I can see.
Even the honeymoon, though.
Even the honeymoon.
So
I
it's
know.
the Halloween season. I think to wrap this up, we've got to hear a scary story. So out of all of your adventures, and it's fine if you haven't, but if you had any weird, spooky experiences yourselves,
Even just a
any-
vibe, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's called Linda Vista Community Hospital.
Hello. Scott and I know that place well.
It's not vacant anymore, right? It's like,
Correct.
didn't they?
They turned it into like, I hate using this term, like an old folks home. It's an elderly living center.
Yeah, assisted.
That's what I thought. We visited that, God, 15 years ago, maybe long time ago. And I was just kind of taking pictures around the outside, and some guy he had something to do with like a paranormal show or something, said, "Do you want to come in?" And I said to my husband, "This is the stupidest thing we probably could be doing, going with some random stranger into this vacant building." But we went in, and that place. Yep. We went into the basement, and no electricity anywhere. It was freaky.
Yeah. And I purposefully chose this photo because that is Zach Baggins from Ghost Adventures.
Is.
Yeah, that's a great. Have you guys been to Rockhaven Sanitarium in Montrose?
I think I've heard of it, but no, I don't really know anything about it. I think I've just heard the name.
Because that's where Marilyn Monroe's mom was kind of, I don't know the right word, but where she was a patient for years.
Yeah. Wow.
But it's abandoned now, and that place has it had a similar vibe to Linda Vista. You can go on tours, or at least you could.
Write that down, Scott. We got to go there the next time we're out there. Montrose isn't that far.
Yeah, it had a definite vibe because it had all the beds, and some of the rooms still had cards like on the nightstands.
Wow.
And like old stuff. Yeah. And Marilyn's mom escaped a couple times, and they showed us like the window she escaped from.
Really?
Yeah. And they're trying to, I don't know what they're trying to do with it, but preserve it somehow for tours, I think. So there's like a whole heritage association that does the tours and is raising money. But that has a spooky vibe. And we went during the day with, it was bright. There were people, it was a tour group, and it was still very eerie.
Well, it looks like you went to the amazing and beautiful, and as far as Scott and I are concerned, definitely haunted Mountainview Mausoleum.
Oh,
I love that place.
Yeah. And I'm looking at your pictures here, and I'm just reminded of how incredible this place is. But we had some interesting experiences there. I've only been there once. Scott, you've been there a couple times, right?
Yeah. And, for me, Linda Vista and Mountain View were both places that I went as somebody that was in a production that just had to report at my call time to what the address was on the call sheet, and didn't know where I was going. When Linda Vista I was brand new to LA. I hadn't even heard of Linda Vista Hospital. And then Mountain View Mausoleum. Yeah, we shot back in the day when we were still trying to figure out how to monetize the internet. There's a web series, this like kids oriented action web series that shot at Mountain View Mausoleum. And yeah, the place is just gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. Actually, I'll pull up some photos because it is such a staggeringly beautiful place.
Yeah.
And then in both instances, Linda Vista or Mountain View, I was just wandering around as much as I possibly could.
There's my site. That's me.
Oh, there you go. From Slate?
No, we're in the
down on the bottom,
right there. Right there. Might as well go to the source. But yeah, it's a beautiful place. So intricately detailed, the design, the art of everything. Oops, actually, sharing the wrong tab. There we go.
And open to the public all the time. That's what I love.
Yeah. Open to the public. And as you're walking around, it felt like I was in like a National Treasure kind of movie, because like there were so many symbols that seemed to be hidden, and like more and more corridors that you could get lost down. And like,
Yeah.
what are we going to find down here? What secrets? Lucifer again, of course, was shot here, of course. But yeah.
At one point I was there and I had to go to the bathroom, and it's down below ground and there's no cell signal once you get down there. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm ever going to be seen again.
Right.
And it's, you hear your footsteps. It's so quiet. I mean, it's,
Oh yeah.
It is vast. It is a place I want to go back, because I do want to shoot an episode of my haunted filming locations here. Because again, the juxtaposition that it's a mausoleum. I mean, dead people are interred here.
Yeah.
And also tons of episodes of Curb Your Enthusiasm were shot here. So go ahead.
Was it like for funeral scenes and stuff?
Yeah. There's a lot of funeral memorials in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I never watched that show.
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. All right. So Haunted Hollywood. Tell us about your Haunted Hollywood post.
Yeah.
Well, I love anything. Halloween's my favorite holiday, and I love anything spooky or haunted. So
cool.
Just during the month of October, I've always dedicated my blog posts first and now my videos to some sort of haunted or horror movie location or a grave site, something tying in to LA or Hollywood with the spooky feel.
So why is Halloween your favorite holiday?
It always has been. I love to dress up in costume. I mean, give me any excuse. And I just love skeletons and spooky things, ghosts.
Have you ever
love being
had
scared.
an experience, like even as a kid or anything, where you no?
Not really, no. That's
you
probably
want
why I
to?
like them.
Yeah, really. Until you have one.
I know. But no,
right.
I've never really had like a paranormal
Okay.
experience.
Well, you're lucky then. But so what's like? Give us a solid haunted Hollywood location that you're confident is haunted, or at least from the stories.
Okay, well, the one that I've just been working on, I don't know that it's necessarily haunted, but it's a great story from Hollywood. Al Adamson, have you heard of him? He was kind of a horror movie director and B movie director. He did monster stuff.
Okay.
He just shot them out, like very prolific, low budget type stuff. Gory, scary, monster. And he had a house in Indio, which is not far from me out here, which is probably why this piqued my interest. But he was murdered by his handyman. Oof. And then the handyman dug up his indoor bathtub and buried him under it and then tiled over it. And he then fled. But I mean, it's a horror movie director that was like buried under his hot tub in his own house.
Oh my God. How did they find it?
His brother was trying to get a hold of him and couldn't get a hold of him. So he came to the house and saw that the hot tub had been dug up and tiled over, and all the kind of hot tub debris was just out in the yard, just sitting there.
What a sloppy handyman.
I know, right? And the director loved that hot tub more than anything. And the brother was like, he never would have had this filled in. And so that was the first place the police looked, and they knew it had to be the handyman. And the handyman had taken his credit cards and sat in his cars. He had a bunch of cars, and he took them all.
Yeah, so, all of his cars.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
He took them to Florida too. It was very strange. Wow. But the house is demolished now, and it's just a vacant lot. But it's part of a gated community too, and it's just a vacant lot sitting there.
Wow. So you went through pictures of this vacant lot, and did you find old pictures of what it used to look like and everything?
Yeah, there's a really good documentary. This one took me years of trying to find exactly where the house was, because he had a huge plot of land. And so I wanted to know exactly where on that plot his house was. And so I wound up doing a records request at the Indio PD. I've never done that before. They gave me like a parcel map. And then this great documentary came out in 2019 called Blood and Flesh. And it's all about his life and death. And they got police footage of the house and of them digging up the hot tub. And so from there, it became easier to piece together, like matching the police footage to the historic aerial imagery and stuff.
What prompted this search? Like, where did you hear about this or something? And I got to look for this.
I heard about, I feel like maybe on the news or on Facebook, somebody mentioned it. And because it's out here where I live, where it sometimes feels like nothing happens out here, I was like, what is this? And then to have it be a horror director who died in that way.
Yeah.
It just fascinated me.
That's fantastic.
And
I think it's so weird that it's this housing community and that lot is just vacant.
Yeah, it's scarred.
Right.
Yeah,
that's weird.
Yeah.
I meant to ask earlier on these weird LA stories, the Batman of Los Angeles. that has to have inspired a movie, right? Has there been any?
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
2. Yeah.
Okay.
One of them stars Neil Patrick Harris as the lover.
Oh my gosh.
Come on.
It's from 95, so he was young.
That's
obviously because the guy was young.
Was it called Batman of Los Angeles or something? What was the name of it?
I think it was called The Man in the Attic.
It's on the nose.
And Ann Archer was Dolly, the woman.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then there was another movie too. But that, for some reason, that one was a comedy, which I don't quite get.
We're laughing at it now.
British comedy. I think it was called The Bliss of Mrs. Blossom or something like that.
That's wild. That's great, because that's like another way to tie in a location to a film, even if it's not pictured in the film. It's still the inspiration started here. That's cool. Have you ever?
I love that.
I know you said you've showed around, places to friends, but have you ever actually led like an organized tour? Because I bet people would love to hear it from you.
I never have.
She's like, nope.
It seems like a huge proposition to do tours. A huge venture.
It is, but it's fun.
Yeah. I'm used to just sitting here writing and taking pictures.
Right.
This is why our podcast series can be so much fun, because every guest is just a treasure trove of information. And this is no different. I mean, just what you can recall so quickly in and of itself is incredible, that you remember all the things that you post. But this was a ton of fun. I mean, is there any, other than the Beverly Hills 90210, is there any really obscure location that you just were so surprised that this was so great, and I want people to go look at my website right now?
Oh my God. You're putting me on the spot now.
I have to ask the hardest question as the last one.
The Ferris Bueller house being in Long Beach is one of my favorites.
Amazing. I didn't know it was shot there.
No.
Yeah. Well, supposed to be in Chicago, but it's in Long Beach. Yeah, I know. Crazy.
So like the pool and everything in the back or is that camera?
That was actually that one. That's a crazy story. I did for Discover Los Angeles, all the LA locations from Ferris Bueller, and I got in touch with the production designer, the location manager, somebody. And anyway, they were saying that wasn't supposed to be anybody's house where the pool was. It was just supposed to be that they like broke into a pool.
Okay.
On their travels that day, which I always thought that was Cameron's house. But that is in Brentwood. Yeah.
Oh, in Brentwood. I love that you did a post on all the places that he goes through on the run home. Yeah, that's great.
My friend Owen and I tracked those down one day.
And that's all LA?
No, it's both Chicago and LA.
Okay. That was a long run.
You could tell, like Scott and I being from, Scott's more from the northern suburbs of Chicago than I am, but you can tell a lot of those places were definitely in the northern suburbs of Chicago. But now that I look at this,
we're in Pasadena.
I noticed those trees, and duh, of course those are California trees.
Oh, wow. And, I grew up in John Hughes territory. So, the Home Alone house is not far. I think that was probably something else that kind of maybe caught my attention when I was younger, that some of these places that we watch on TV, they're down the street, even though I didn't grow up in LA, but once upon a time, Chicago was such a boom town for shooting.
It still is, isn't it?
It's come back. It went away hard, and it has returned because tax incentives finally came through and all that. And there's more and more production facilities and places to rent gear.
Yeah.
So it's going to have a renaissance. But when I graduated college, that was famously the year the movie Chicago was shot in Toronto. And my big fat Greek wedding was set in what Ukrainian village or something like that in Chicago, or Greek village, but it was not. It was all shot in LA, I think. And that's when it was kind of embarrassing for Chicago. They got embarrassed to the point that like, okay, we got to welcome production back because this is out of hand.
Yeah.
I've never been to Chicago, but I want to go so badly.
Oh, you should absolutely go in any other month other than December, January, February, March, or April.
Yeah.
That's so funny because we were thinking of going for Christmas this year, and then everyone was like, don't.
You're okay in Christmas. It doesn't usually get crazy cold in December, and you might get lucky with a nice snowfall. Weather can get a little iffy in terms of like driving and stuff if it gets, really wet. But if you're just staying in the city, Christmas time is fantastic in Chicago.
And I got to say, I mean, you're going to need more time. You're going to want to walk around outside. So plan for a trip back in spring, summer, fall, because there are so many, as you would assume, so many great filming locations around Chicago and the suburbs, from the south suburbs like Joliet, where Joliet Jake gets out of prison, where they shot Prison Break, and whole bunch of prison stuff down in Joliet, and then through the city, and then up to the north suburbs, which is all John Hughes territory. There's tons and tons, and I'm right now in Madison, Wisconsin. So the one and only, I think, movie claim to fame, Rodney Dangerfield's Back to School, was shot here.
Because that was also shot in LA, Pasadena.
And Pasadena. Man, I didn't know Pasadena had so much, but they really do.
Yeah, it was great living there.
So I wanted to also throw this out as if there's the fish that got away. If the one thing that like, oh man, I've been looking for this one location and I just have not been able to find it, we'll throw it out there in case anybody's like, oh, well, I worked on it and here it was.
Yeah, right.
Do you have any of those
kind
types
of obscure? Yeah.
Whether
I have
go ahead.
Whiteboard with locations that I've been looking for, and I've managed to cross off all of them but one over the past few years. But it's the house where 90210 did a season 3 photo shoot. It was the red dress photo shoot, and very famous because Tori Spelling and Jenny Garth got in a fight over who could wear the red dress the wardrobe had. And it's just like famous among 90210 fans. And there's a shot of the whole cast kind of standing against it almost looks like a castle. It's like a balustrade. And nobody's ever been able to tell where that house is. We got in touch with a photographer. He doesn't remember. Jason Priestley, we asked. He swore it was in like Reseda or something, but the photographer remembers Malibu. See why I don't typically ask people?
Wild. Oh,
is this the correct photo?
No.
Okay.
If you look up 90210 season 3 promo shoot or red dress photo shoot.
Is let's see. Is this
That's it right there.
Okay.
That's it. But there's a wider shot. If you right below it, there's a wider shot. You can see more of the house.
Oh, right. Scroll down a little bit there. There you go.
That one.
Oh, this here.
And see how Jenny Garth and Tori Spelling are both wearing red.
Oh.
Yeah.
And they fought because they both wanted to wear. Oh my God.
And it was talked about for years, like the drama over the red dress, and everyone was kind of blaming Shannon Doherty. And then Tori Spelling came out years later. She did like this lie detector game show and admitted it was her and Jenny that were fighting over the dress. And Shannon didn't really have anything to do with it. And Shannon's my favorite, so she was redeemed.
Max and I worked on a Food Network show that was shot at Tori Spelling's house in Calabasas.
Yeah.
You're kidding.
No. Yeah. It was a weird experience, man.
Yeah, was she there?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was she and her then husband, because I don't think they're together anymore, or maybe they are.
Dean? No, they're separated.
Yeah, they were together back when we were there.
I remember thinking, maybe I heard the rumors that they were kind of getting separated at the time, or there was something about she was going through some legal battle over her dad's fortune or something at the time. But there was already kind of drama that was happening. But yeah, it was a dark time in my life. I had to wash dishes on a Food Network show. I was hard up.
But you were at Tori Spelling's house washing dishes. I mean,
I was angrily wiping down these.
And it was also, out in the deep valley there, and it was 112 degrees out. It was rough time to be shooting. It looked beautiful. What was shot that day, or that weird special? I think we shot for a Christmas special or something. It was something that wasn't going to air for a long time. But yeah, and I don't think I never saw it. But
no,
it looked nice on camera.
Find that.
I bet we could. It's findable. It's all findable nowadays. Except so far,
I got a new one on my list. I got
to make sure that's on your IMDb, Max, and for me, for that matter.
Right.
Okay, so that's
at Tori Spelling's house.
Yeah, right.
And that is the call to action. Anybody that knows where the infamous red dress drama went down on the set of photo shoot set of 90210.
Yes.
Drop us a line.
Please.
Cool.
You'd make many 90210 fans happy.
Too funny. Well, Lindsay, this was fun, and now I feel like you've got a new like fan in me, just in terms of I want to be finding all these locations now too. And so this was great. I love this kind of stuff. It
was so fun. I'm glad you're inspired now to do some stalking of your own.
And in a way, a little regretful that I didn't, like Scott has always been so, let's go look at these locations, when we were in Los Angeles. And I don't know why I didn't go all the time. I don't know.
It took a long time for me as well. And I don't know why. Maybe it was because it was just around you all the time. It didn't seem that interesting or as interesting. And then, but I think one of the ones that really flipped the switch for me was, again, a New Girl location. It was the Prince, the Koreatown bar.
Oh yeah.
That
restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the time, Max and I were living pretty close to it, not all that far away. Yeah. And ironically, something was shooting in our house, so we needed to make ourselves scarce for the day.
That's right.
Like, well, let's head on down to the shooting location.
So did you eat there?
I don't think we did.
Do you remember what happened when we walked in? And I walked in, it was like record screech drops of a fork, and everybody was like, and they were all Asian people. And we were like, I don't know if we're supposed to walk. It was packed. It was jammed.
Yeah. So it's in Koreatown, for those who don't know. And it was a night when Hyun-Jin Ryu was pitching for the Dodgers.
That's right.
So I think everybody came out to cheer him on. And Max and I walk in. We're baseball fans too, so we're like, yeah, we'll come up to the bar and watch the game and have a drink. And we're standing at the bar, and the host comes, taps on my shoulder, and is like, you got to move because those people can't see the screen. And there's across the room in a booth, those people couldn't see the screen. And I said, okay, well, I'm happy to sit wherever you want me to sit, but what do you want to do? What do you want us to do? And he's like, okay, well, I'll prop the door open. If you guys can stand outside, we'll bring you drinks. Yes. And because there was no seat available, and they're like, oh, I guess we'll come back later. And I have been back and had a fine time there, but yeah, that was our introduction to the place. It was so weird.
It was.
Oh, that's not a good introduction.
Not so much.
I had one of the best meals of my life at that restaurant.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we sat at the bar. We were there. It was like a Friday night at like 5, so early. So it was dead. And the owner happened to be behind the bar. And so she was kind of filling us in on everything. They make everything there from scratch, even their chips. They had like a chip and salsa appetizer. Everything's from scratch. And so we kind of let her order for us. And so she ordered the fried chicken and then taught us how to eat it properly, the Korean way, with they had crepes, and oh my god, it was one of the best meals I've ever had.
I want to go
so
back.
Good.
It was beautiful. I remember how cool the place was. It was such a great looking restaurant, and we just happened to go in on the busiest night of the year.
I wanted to go last time I was in town. I just wasn't able to get out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, here is
One
just a good look. If you're a fan of New Girl, you recognize these booths, because that is, and the interesting thing with New Girl is they shot the pilot here and then they recreated it all on a set, and they did an amazing job, because you never know.
Yeah.
I got to see that set.
No way.
Yeah, I was touring the studio, and that was one of the sets we got to see, and it really felt like I was walking into the Prince. It was bizarre. I was walking around trying to find anything that was different, and it was just like being there. It was insane.
God, those people can do such amazing things. Those costume design or set decorators, and designers, and production designers. It's incredible.
Absolutely. And I cannot believe you haven't worked as a location scout. You have all the info. All right.
It's a lot of work, though.
It really is. I had the big privilege of working on a movie. One of my first movies I ever worked on. I was in the locations department for Hollywood Homicide.
Oh, that's a great movie.
I
love that movie.
It was very underrated at the time. And I think it's still underrated. I think most people haven't seen it, but Josh Hartnett, Harrison Ford, and it's one that really, really did a great job of shooting on site, on location across LA. And
now you guys use Runyon Ranch, or that house up kind of in Runyon Canyon.
Was that the one that was?
It's like
blanking on the name now. Blanking on the actor's name. Martin Landau. Was that one his?
No, he was in like a mansion, right?
Yeah.
No, this one's, I think it's from the end of the movie. It's like all kind of by itself, right in Runyon Canyon on like the walking path.
Okay.
If you go hike Runyon Canyon, you can see it. It was on 90210, but also in Scream 3.
Oh, all right. There we go.
Yeah, Scream 3. Yeah.
Tying in so many.
And it's all kind of isolated, so it's spooky. It's like it looks like a barn.
Almost nothing's isolated in LA. So
yeah, right.
I know.
Yeah.
But this, you literally, if you're hiking Runyon Canyon, you go like, I don't know how the owners drive to it because it's on like a hiking path.
Wild.
It's a really cool house.
Boy, your recall is impressive.
Truly is. Truly.
It's my one superpower. I remember useless things.
Well, they're not useless for this episode. This was a ton of fun, Lindsay, and we really appreciate you jumping on.
And
thanks for having me.
In addition to inspiring Max, I think, again, I just want to reiterate, from a creative standpoint, pursue what makes you happy, what makes you smile, what you can be interested in and passionate about, because one, other people will have that passion, and two, you'll infect people with that passion just by letting yourself just shine bright like that. And I think there's just so much to be learned that you went after this thing that was an interest, a silly hobby kind of a thing. And it led to job after job after job after job. And that is so cool as a writer as well. So I think a lot can be and should be taken from that. So congratulations on all that success.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
It has been fun. And CC, thank you for chiming in and asking questions and commenting. And for all of you listening, as always, like I say at the end of every episode, there are fantastic stories everywhere. If you happen to come upon one, let us know, and you might be inducted as the next member